All right, back at you with another quick hit. I want to give all honors and praises and glory belongs to my Lord and Savior, whose name is Yahweh Sham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Wahava Kwadash. Shalom to the hopeful elect across the globe, and to the few brothers and sisters listening and also learning in the hopes of being saved within these last days. All right, just a little topic that's going to be interesting, going to make you think, because that's why I do these lessons also, to make you think and question things around you. Right? You know, you have the news. Well, on the news they tell you about all these organizations. They mention ISIS, right? They mention you have ISIS. You have what else? You have what they call it, the Boko Haram, which is a Nigerian. They say it's a Nigerian. They say it's a Nigerian terrorist or organization. So you have all these organizations that they create: ISIS, the Boko Haram. You know, just all these organizations, whatever they want to call it, right? Okay, and these different militias, right? Which they label it a so-called war. They're extreme. So we're gonna go into it, all right? Go to Micah 2. Woe to them that devise iniquity, right? Woe means destruction, and it says devise iniquity, and who's doing that? It's the ones that got all the money and the resources, right? And work evil upon their beds. So they're working evil upon their beds. As soon as they get up, they're working evil. They can't wait to do some evil. Okay? When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. As soon as this morning, because it's in the power of their hands, right? So they can actually do these things. They have power to do it. All right, going back to Job 9:24, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covereth the face of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So we know this earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. The wicked today would be known as the elites, certain banking families. So because they have the money, they control the governments, they're able to work particular wickedness and change certain things up. Right? And they have armies. Okay? They have different armies and so forth. But the main point is, you have these so-called extremist organizations. Going back again, ISIS. Right? And so forth. Right? Boko Haram. Right? And a few others that are not coming to mind. But hold on a minute. So you got these poor people. Some even say Taliban. Oh, so hold on. These are poor. These are supposed to be poor people, right? Right. The Boko Haram, poor people. So they got tanks, right? They got tanks. They got rifles. They got AK-47s and Gatling guns, right? Attached to these tanks. So the Boko Haram, right? They're poor people. So where do they get all these tanks from? Because the tanks are not produced in Nigeria. Where did they get all them weapons from? Right? They're called mercenaries. Right? They get trained. Right? By who? The CIA and the MI5. They get trained up. Right? All of a sudden, these people, they just got these weapons. Well, where did they get the weapons from? Huh? They're mercenaries. They get trained up. Right? For war. Right? Just like the who were the Soviets training? Correct me if I'm wrong. They were training, who was it? Was it the Taliban? They were training them up. So the Russians were training them up. Okay? The Soviet. Right? So you got to start putting two and two together. Right? They create the so-called terror threats. They do that. Right? They create your so-called terrorists, your extreme. They create it. Right? And they covert fields. Yeah, they take fields. Right? And they covert fields and take them by violence and houses. It's the elites that are doing this. They're taking houses by violence. And yes, you could also tie that into private contractors as well that they hire, right? They take them by violence. Okay. That's why you got them building, innit? Building all these new places, these new apartments. That's what they can do. They can buy you out. They have enough money to actually, buy you out. And this is really directed to the bankers because they have enough money. They're not, look. Oh, my hay fever's playing up. Excuse me. Man. And I don't want to itch my nose because if I start touching my nose, it's going to start playing up even more. So I just got to let my nose run. But yeah, remember the elites. They're not millionaires. Millionaire that's chump change to them. They're not billionaires. They're trillionaires. Yeah, there is such thing as trillion. They're not billion. They're trillionaires. Okay. So with all that money, are you telling me they're not able to set up opposition to have those do their bidding? They don't have to lay up. They don't have to do nothing. They could just sit back, and their dirty work gets done for them because they're in power. All right, they are in power. That's why it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence. So they may see, well, you know what? I like that field there in Libya, right? Oh, Gaddafi, he's not complying. He's not complying. He wants to come up with his own gold bullet, and that's what Gaddafi was doing. Gaddafi wanted to completely cut off the British, cut off the America, and come up with his own his own money system, which was gold. And they took him out because of that. Yeah, Gaddafi. And you had the Libyans. A lot of them were siding with the enemy. With that, and the Libyans turned on their own king. Right, so they took him out. Right, and set up a puppet leader in Libya, right? Because they can covet fields and take them by violence. Prior to that, Libya was somewhat peaceful. And they're doing it everywhere else. They do it in Syria, right? You don't hear much about Al-Assad, right? You don't hear much about him now. So they have the money to do that, to make things happen. That's why it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, right? And it says Babakashah, and house it, and they take them away. So they oppress a man and his house and a man and his heritage. So they have the means to do that. All right, what? We don't like that. We want to move in here. Get them contractors in. Let's hire them from abroad, them private contractors. Let's have them digging up the place. Let's have them doing that. You know? Yeah, you got refugees. Why are they fleeing? Because they're fleeing from the circumstances that have been brought upon them by what? The devil. Right? By Satan himself. Okay? And it says, and they take them away and oppress a man in his house and his heritage. That's why you got refugees. Then you got the ignorant people say, oh, well, one nigga, well, this is British. We're British. Go back to your country. Well, bro, they wouldn't have to flee here if you weren't oppressing them in their country. If you weren't being greedy. Right? This is England. Right? Alright? So they oppress a man in his house and his heritage. You know how many people die every day trying to cross them borders? You see it. Got babies dying, women dying, mothers dying, just to cross them borders. And it's not that they don't want to work. No, they're actually willing to work. Right? And that's also, modern day trafficking. And a lot of them get trafficked. Also. Right? I remember I was watching some programs on BBC. Right? These particular people that were slave workers. That still happens in London. It still happens in London. Slave workers. And they're hiding in some apartment. And they're not even paying them the proper wage. Because it's cheaper. Right? Oh, the Romanians, they're taking all the jobs. No, they're not. Well, bro, who would you hire? You're going to hire someone that takes less money and can still do the job better than you. Yeah, the Romanians, the Bulgarians, they're taking our jobs. No, it's just that they can do the job better than you, and they're more efficient, and they're willing to take less money. And that's all it is. Complaining. Right? See, that's that supremacy again. Okay? And that's what happens. And guess what? They end up going back to Bulgaria or Romania and building a nice big house, and they give that back to their family because they know how to operate. Right? So we went to that Baba Kashar. But all these, don't get it twisted, all these organizations are set up by the elites. The same organizations what you would say, well, we're terrorists. You know, what they call it. Another one is the Wahhabis. You know, for the Muslim, the bro, the Wahhabis are in London. Haven't you been to Bond Street? Haven't you been to? They're all up in the Wahhabis. They have a place in London. The Saudis, right? Who runs the Wahhabi regiment? It's the British, right? The British are funding the Wahhabis, right? That's why you see them all up in London, driving their Jaguars, their Ferraris, living good, right? And their sandals, right? And where were they bombing? They're bombing Yemen. Well, who's part of that bombing? Who's funding that? Huh? Who's funding that? Last time I looked on the news, it was the French and NATO and the Saudis bombing Yemen. And who funds the Wahhabis? It's the British. Right? Because the Saudis work hand in hand with the British, right? Mostly they're just puppets for the elites. Right? And that's the thing I like about Assad. Assad wasn't having that. He didn't want none of that. Because he knew what was going on. Right? And that's why you have Putin. Even Putin, he ain't having none of that. That's why them Russians, they're in that Cold War spirit. Because they see what's going on. Putin knows who's calling the shots. And Putin is, don't get it twisted, he's highly intelligent. Remember, he was previously in the KGB, which was a Russian spy unit. Russian intelligence, which was the KGB. So this is Russia. Putin, he's highly experienced in war and in war tactics. But what do you see with the UK? Everything that they speak on Russia, it's all negativity. Not that I'm expecting them to say not that I'm expecting them to say something positive about Putin. No. But everything they say is negative. But what about NATO? Their war crimes that they've committed in other countries. See the hypocrisy. Right? What about when Tony Blair was in power? Right? With the other psychopath, what's his name? Bush. Right? And he gave the go-ahead to bomb Iraq. What about that? Do you know how many people died in Iraq? And he gave the go-ahead. He should be prosecuted for war crimes. Huh? But nobody speaks about that. Bro, you had babies, bro. You had women being shot. You had babies being shot. You had dogs being... Bro, I've spoken to one individual that went to Iraq. And he told me he was shooting up dogs and all of that. Right? Dogs, women. Bro, it was brutal. They ain't gonna tell you. If any of you served in the army, if any of you went to Iraq, they would tell you about the stories. And this is why I always say, I'm not really knocking anyone that's been in the military because that's high level stuff. But to be in the military, you have to be a well-trained slave and go against orders. You have to shut off all emotions, and do things that you don't really want to do. Right? And it's some of them bullets, they explode on impact. But they want to create all these false terror alerts. That's rubbish. They create that. The false panic. Right? And the people believe it because they're stupid. And they just believe it. You know? Okay? And it's a fact. It's been known. Alright, 9/11. All of a sudden, yeah, these poor people in Iraq, you know, they hired a plane and they crashed it into a towers. Bro, we know that was all an inward job. We already know that. That was an inward job. Wake up. But you people are so stupid, right? And when that happened, what did that do? That created friction. And guess what? From that day onwards, I remember that day as well. I was at school, and I remember coming right back from school. I saw it, and that building was on fire. Right? If we wake up, we know that was an inside job. You ask any construction worker, they'll tell you straight up. Yep. You can see in the buildings. You can see the explosion. And one was just saying, no. Well, that was things. No, you could see it. You could see the imploding. You can see the little light bursts. Right? If any of you are experts in controlled demolition, anybody that knows controlled demolition, they would know. But these people are getting away with murder. And guess what? There was an insurance on that building. Right? Larry Silverstein, he was insured on that building. He got double for that building. Right? And just read his confession, his interview. Oh, they said we're just going to have to pull it, so we pulled it. He's telling you. They just said, just pull it, pull building 7, so we just pulled it. Pull is another code word for demolition. You pull it. You pull that lever. So the people, they're really stupid. You need to wake up and see what's going on, right? Psychopaths are running this country. And yeah, I've been watching a lot of House of Parliament. And when I'm watching a lot of House of Parliament, guess what I'm seeing? Bro, it's a fucking... I gotta stop saying that. It's a circus show. You got the people running your country. Look how they're acting in Parliament. Clapping, laughing. It's a circus show. And these are the people that are running the UK. These are the people that are calling some shots. Well, it's not really them, it's the elites, but they're just the so-called shadow government. And really, they're not the shadow government, because the shadow government is shadow. They're behind the scenes. So the elites give you that shadow councillor, shadow. No, they're not the shadow government. The shadow government are the ones you don't see, are the elites. You don't see them. You won't see them on the news. And they're the ones that are truly in power, right? Someone that's true, that's what I want to say as well. The ones that are truly in power, you don't see them, right? Okay. Baba Kasha. I'm bringing out a lot today. Oh shit, they might come for me. Right? But it's okay, we're going to bring out this word anyway. Fuck it. They're useless idiots. You know what? They're useful idiots, these people. Useful idiots. They smile in my face, but behind my back, they're talking smack. But that's alright, because Yahushua got judgment for them. So let's go back to where we was. Go to Proverbs. So your governments, they're being run, right? They are being run by psychopaths. And it's interesting, because I just wanted to see how things are done within the House of Commons. I'm in the House of Commons. It's a bloody shamble. These people are, they're making decisions over your life in certain circumstances, right? That's what they're doing, okay? That's what they're doing, okay? Maybe just a minute, Baba Kasha. Come on. And everything I'm saying, you look it up as well. Get really into it. Can't just go by what anything the news are saying. So look, I'm just looking for a scripture in Proverbs. The cry of him that is amongst fools. Go to Ecclesiastes. People in the House of Parliament, in Commons, laughing, clapping, smiling, that fake smile. It's a theatre. I always say that. House of Commons, it's a theatre. It's just acting. Right? And the Commons, that's the stage. And they're the actors. Right? What a flipping shame. Right? What are they doing for you? Just empty promises. Oh, Labour, we promised to change this. And bro, it's just the same empty promises. It's just the same empty promises. Right? Say, oh, we promised to change this. Well, what are they doing? What are they changing? If you're going to change anything, change these bloody fucking lights. Right? Right? change the lights, right? Stop building all these apartments that people can't even afford to live in. You're building all these apartments, they can't even afford it, right? Oh, we need to, it's the same thing. Oh, we're fixing the roads. Well, how much times do you need to fix the roads? The only times where you really need to fix the roads is if it's snowing and it's raining and the roads start to decay because the snow eats away at the roads. That's the only time you need to fix the roads, right? And if you're gonna fix anything, you better start within yourself first, right? Yeah, we promise to do this. We promise all empty promises. Then when you find out there's scandal after scandal, right? That's what you find out, scandal after scandal. And you find out, well, they were laundering money, they were hiding money. Yeah, bro, it's the same old stuff, right? Right? Scandal after scandal. Boris Johnson throwing parties, having Boris Johnson throwing tea parties in the parliament. So the parliament is scandal after scandal. And that's why I don't believe in all that rubbish. The politics and all that rubbish. No. It's rubbish. It's a theatre, ain't it? It's completely rubbish what they're giving us. And these people, they shouldn't have control over us. At all. Okay? At all. You want to make them make decisions for your life. Right? I'll do a better, bro, I'm telling you, I would do a better job running for Labour. Even though I would do a much better job. I know what I would change. That's why the Lord is raising us to be judges. What are they doing? What are they changing? Because if you really, look, anybody that's selected, they're hand selected by your elites anyway. And the reason I'm talking, because I ain't got much scriptures to go into right now, they're elective. Oh, I found it. Yes. They're elected by your elites. Anybody that's put in parliament, they're elected. They have you. No. We decide we're going to have a vote now. 40 votes. This individual has 60 votes. Boris Johnson, 60 votes. Sonic's, what's his name? Sonic, 60 votes. No, bro, your vote doesn't matter. Your vote doesn't matter. Right? Because who decides who goes in? It's the elites. Because there's an agenda. And they follow the agenda of those that are running, calling the shots behind the scenes. They will give you that illusion of our democracy, which democracy is really for the people, right? That's why it was set up. It's for the people, right? But that's an illusion, because we don't really have a democracy. That's a lie, because the elites decide who goes in. If they want a particular minister to be in for 4 years, that minister's going to be in for 4 years. If they want him out, that minister's going to be out. Right? You got to look at the bigger picture. Got to look at the bigger picture. Right? Of what's really going on. Right? Year after year, empty promises. Now Gordon Brown, he was all right. Gordon Brown, he was all right. You know what I'm saying, to a certain extent, right? But they're all puppets for what? The elites. Because they decide who goes in, who goes out, who stays another term, and who don't. Same with America, right? Because they control the lobbies. The elites control the lobbies as well. If you didn't know that. Okay, so stop putting your trust in all what these politicians and all that say. Because when you see them in the House of Commons, it's nothing but rubbish. Order. It's just rubbish. Nothing but theatre. Alright? While they're living good with their big turkey necks. Living fat, luxurious. Politics, I always say, politics is similar to banking. There's an agenda. You do, there's a formula to politics as well. Just like with banking. You do ABC and you will get this. And that's how Parliament is as well. There's agendas behind it. Right? That's why you can't get caught up on that. You know? The same with liberal Democrats. Now, what I was going to say is, you have those that really want to make a change, and those that do want to make a change, that really want to do that, they get outed because the elites can't have that. All right, the elites can't have that. Right, the elites can't have that. You really think they're gonna have you in parliament, really wanting to make a change? No, we're gonna have to get you out of there. So that should tell you those that are set up, they're just following the orders that they were given. Because anybody with the right mind that does want to make a change, they're going to be outed out of that parliament straight away. Because there is people that actually do want to serve the right way, but then they get pushed aside. Right? That's how it is. Right? So, bear me just a minute. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus 10. So just know, all the opposition, controlled opposition, that's all created by the elites, right? They control both sides. They control your leftists and they control your right, both sides. So here it is, yeah, I'm voting for the left, but you don't know. Hold on, they control the right. Oh no, I want to get away from the left. I want to go. They control that. It's called controlled opposition. Okay, that's what it's called. And they're going to have them arguing with each other like they're against each other, but they're all working for the same individual. They're all working for the same company. Okay? The same company. And that's how it works. All right? And when they're behind closed doors, right, when they're in these meetings, they're knocking them wine glasses together, laughing their heads off. Have you believing in politics? Right? Where they're laughing to the bank. And they do get paid a good sum as well. Ecclesiastes 10. We're going to shut off soon. Check this out. And 14. Now, verse 13. The wisdom have seen under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. There was a little city and a few men within it. Right? And there came a great king against it and besieged it and built great bulwarks against it. To what? To knock it down. Now there was found in it a poor wise man. He by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no man remembered that same poor man, because he was poor. He didn't have status. Rent to eye, wisdom is better than strength, and nevertheless the poor man's wisdom is despised. Right? Wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised. Right? The poor man's wisdom is despised. And his words are not heard. This poor wise man delivered the city by his wisdom. Yet he was still despised because he never had no status. Man said, wisdom is better than strength. Well, I've seen a lot of people with muscle. You know, muscles all up on their necks, on their faces, but they're spiritually they're weak, right? You could be physically strong, have muscles, but spiritually you could still be weak, right? The spiritual man, I pick the spiritual man over the muscly man all day, right? The rest of our wisdom is better than what? Strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words not heard. That's why our words are not really heard like that. The words of wise men are heard in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. Now, people do hear our words, but it's just in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. So you can refer that to the parliament. The cry of him that ruleth among fools. Just look how they're acting. Right? So immature. Immature. Right? In the house, they're all acting immature. Right? Wisdom is better than weapons of war. Right? But one sinner destroyeth much good. So these weapons that we have is the scriptures. And it's much more better than weapons of war. So with this whole lesson, what was the premise of it? That most things we see is controlled opposition. Right? From politics, from your so-called terror organization. Remember, they need to create a threat. Remember that they need to create a threat. Right? And if they can create that threat, then they could have control over what security. Oh, we got this threat. We need to do this to create security. They do that. Right? They create your so-called terrorists. They do that. You had this late, I haven't looked into it. You had something in what happened in France. I haven't looked into it. What did some individuals running around with a knife in France? Was it a school? Right? Who's to say this individual wasn't MK Ultra or he wasn't harassed? Come on. So with this, I hope this was edifying. And until the next time, Shalom.